Frustrated by her husband Tom's attitude, Rachel turns to her Twitter followers for advice. As a result, she decides that she needs to make a change and plans to use Valentine's Day as an opportunity to get back on good terms with her husband. On Valentine's Day, an unexpected person visits the bakery where Rachel works. Tom is pale when he sees Rachel, and his lover chooses a cake with a smile on her face, oblivious to the fact that he is seeing her. Rachel serves the customers with a big smile and hands the cake to Tom and the cheating partner. When Rachel comes home, I wonder how she will react to Tom, who is quietly waiting for her without even turning on the TV. This is the story of when her husband came to the bakery where she worked on Valentine's Day with his unfaithful partner. We've been married for 5 years, and I feel like our relationship's deteriorating fast. We haven't had any major fights, and Tom no longer seems interested in me. I didn't expect our relationship to deteriorate like this after 5 years, and I'm not sure if our relationship will recover in the future. Did it take a long time for you guys to get married? Well, discomfort will set in sooner or later. It's crazy to think that you'll be in the honeymoon phase forever. We got married 2 years ago after we started dating, so it's not like we were together for a long time. It's true that after being together for 7 years, you get used to things and become less reserved. But still, there's a difference between being with someone because you like them and not being interested in them. It's a totally different situation when you don't show any interest in the other person, isn't it? I have feelings for Tom, and I don't regret marrying him. But recently, I've been thinking that Tom's attitude is a little too much. In what way? He seems to never listen to when I talk. He doesn't seem to be interested in what I'm thinking at all. In fact, when I try to get him to listen to me, he acts like it's a bother. Maybe the conversation was already one-sided. He may be tired after work. Give him a break. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about myself all the time. I listen to Tom complain about his work. And when he seems tired, I leave him alone. That's why I'm so frustrated that he doesn't listen to me at all. I'm not satisfied with this relationship, so I talked to Tom about it. Hey, have you been cold to me lately? You haven't seemed interested in anything I say.
It's not that I'm not interested. It's bothersome that you ask me like that.
What? Aren't you being a bit mean?
No, I'm not. I'm always listening to what you have to say.
But it's obvious you're not listening to me. I can tell in your replies, and sometimes you ignore me completely.
That's when I'm tired, or I'm doing something else.
Mostly, you're just playing games on your phone.
I don't care. I'm listening to you, all right? I'm listening to you right now.
Yeah, but... And our conversation went like that, very counterproductive. So after this little fight, we haven't talked about any of these things. In fact, we don't talk much anymore. I don't know if I should do something about that. From what I'm hearing, he sure is cold to you. But you know, when you're playing games, you don't hear anything. But still, I hope you can do something about his attitude. One thing I'm thinking about right now, I'm thinking of making a fresh start this Valentine's Day. I know it sounds a little childish, but for the first time in a long time, I might give him a proper Valentine's Day present. He forgets Valentine's Day every year. I also gradually stopped giving him gifts, so I wanted to try and restart our relationship. This year, as a token of my gratitude to him, I'm thinking of making it a Valentine's Day where I don't ask for anything in return. Rachel, you're so admirable. I would never give my partner a gift under those circumstances. Oh well, I don't like the idea of things being awkward like this. I'm just going to have to step up to the plate. I don't know if I'll get the response I'm hoping for, but I thought it might be good to take some action once in a while. Maybe it'll cause some sort of spark. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I hope you guys will support me. Let us know how you reacted after you give him the gift. Operation Valentine's Day, I'm rooting for you. Thanks. I'll tweet again next time after Valentine's Day. Rachel seems to be trying to turn things around in a positive way. The followers saw her positive attitude and felt like cheering her on. Then Valentine's Day came and went, and Rachel tweeted again. I'm here to report on Operation Valentine's Day. Well, it turned out to be disastrous for us. I thought the plan was to get along. What do you mean it was disastrous? So this is what happened on Valentine's Day. I was working in a bakery at the request of a friend. Valentine's Day seems to be a big seller for cakes. They said they were short on staff. I was given the job of cashier. Then an unexpected person came into the store. It was Tom. And a woman I had never seen before. I have a bad feeling about this. A husband and a mystery woman who comes into a bakery on Valentine's Day? I'm curious what happened next. I knew right away that he was cheating on me because they walked into the store arm in arm looking like a couple. Tom is an only child, and I was told that he doesn't have any cousins that are women. I just knew he was cheating on me. Wow, that's too bad. And on Valentine's Day, too. It's already too miserable.
I mean, it's a war zone now.
He didn't seem to notice at first, but the second he laid eyes on me, he froze up.
Why are you here?
I think it came out of his mouth before he could even think about it. The woman next to me was so surprised to see Tom like that. Do you know her? But then I told her, no, we don't know each other. What are you looking for today? I answered her like that. Tom was pale in the face, but his lover didn't notice. Do you have any recommendations? I want to buy cake for my boyfriend. She asked me in such a perky, happy-go-lucky way. The worst Valentine's Day ever. What an indescribable turn of events. Rachel, why did you pretend not to notice? I was smiling and told the woman. Then I recommended the chocolate cake. The woman's eyes lit up with delight and she said, It looks delicious. I'll have 2 of them, please. Yes, of course. I smiled and pretended not to notice Tom's confusion. They quickly paid the bill and left the store. Of course, after they both walked out of the store, I instantly went back to my angered face. I can't imagine how quickly your emotions shifted. I wonder what Tom was thinking now that he's been caught cheating. It's a terrible way to get caught, too.
It's the worst seeing the person you're being cheated on with.
I never told anyone about this afterwards. I finished my work and went home with a nonchalant look on my face. When I went to the living room, Tom was already home. He was waiting for me without turning on the TV for some reason. I ignored him in that state, as if nothing had happened. Working at the bakery is pretty fun. I even got to take some items home.
Oh, that's nice.
Tom seemed puzzled by my strangely cheerful attitude. He was watching my every move, but I didn't touch the heart of the matter at all. Of course, I wasn't afraid. It was just that I had a lot on my mind. Did you like the chocolate cake I recommended? You already ate it, didn't you?
What? Yeah, I ate it. It was good.
Right. I got to sample some myself, and that stuff was delicious. I guess he thought I was weird because I was smiling the whole time. Tom started talking to me this time.
About today.
Then I finally decided to talk about it. Oh, today! Your lover, she was beautiful. And what you're doing is the lowest of the low. We can get divorced right now. I'm charging you both alimony too, so let her know.
What?
Tom went even more pale and started staring at me. You went straight to the punch, huh? That sounds like something you do. I wasn't trying to test his loyalty by not bringing it up. I decided to divorce him the moment I found out he was cheating on me. I felt like I was trying so hard to strengthen our marriage. I don't know. I started to feel like an idiot. That made me think that I want a divorce. Makes sense. Rachel, you must be really hurt. Well, of course I'm hurt. I really wanted to cry, but I didn't want that man to see me in such a vulnerable state. So I kept a smile on my face the whole time. I wanted to show him that I was ready to leave him. But Tom had no way of knowing how I really felt. That left him very confused.
Hey, wait a minute. Isn't it too quick to think about divorce? I'm sorry for cheating on you. I truly regret it. But I broke up with her. You're the most important person to me.
He said these things to me like that I didn't understand. No, you don't have to apologize. It's my fault for not realizing that you were the kind of person who would cheat on me. It's a little funny that you talked about your breakup while eating all that delicious chocolate cake. But I don't care what you decide to do with that girl from now on. I'm not changing my mind on the divorce, and I'm definitely getting alimony. When I told him this, Tom got up and tried to talk me out of it.
Don't tell me you're divorcing me. I'm not going to let you and I end up like this. I really left her for good. I'll answer anything you ask.
Seeing Tom like this, I felt my love for him growing weaker and weaker. Seriously, Tom? I know you're trying to sound cool, but once you cheat on me, you don't get any second chances.
I know, but
it doesn't matter if you ended it with her. I have nothing to ask you. I don't want to get even more hurt. Can you just agree to the divorce? I'm going to my parents' house tomorrow. Tom hugged me, crying, trying to talk it out.
Rachel, please. Rachel, forgive me. From now on, I will never betray you again. Really, I promise.
I was already mortified, so I gave him a hard time. When you're married and you betray your partner even once, don't you think that's the end of a relationship? Promises are so easy to make, but impossible to believe in this situation, right? Even if you did that to me, I wouldn't trust you at all, nor would I be willing to forgive you. So don't waste your time. As long as you divorce me and give me alimony, that's all I want.
Rachel, don't say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's only natural for you to be sorry. But I don't trust you to say you're sorry. So show it by divorcing me and paying me alimony. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I said this, Tom cried even harder. I can't believe this cheater is crying this much. You're so strong, Rachel. You're completely justified in your actions. Tom has nowhere to escape.
This is what happens to a cheetah.
That's how I felt when I saw Tom's crying face. I thought, what is he crying about? He can't just ignore what he did and play the victim.
You could have at least listened to me a little bit,
Tom said in tears. I thought, why should I listen to someone who cheated on me? I was so frustrated that I even was more determined to get a divorce. Before, he used to be the one who was too bothered to talk to me. Now the tables have turned. How ironic. That's true. The roles are reversed. Rachel, you seem pretty fine with all this. Maybe it's deciding to divorce so easily. I was protecting myself from further harm, but now I have no regrets about the divorce. In fact, I'm glad I did it right away. After seeing Tom like that, I don't want to be with him anymore. Cheating ends everything, doesn't it? What's done is done. So that's why I stayed in my room and didn't listen to Tom. I guess he realized he couldn't make me change my mind, so he stopped pestering me. And the next day, I left while Tom went to work. So you're back at your parents' house now? Have you heard from Tom? I'm back at my parents' house, but the divorce isn't finalized yet, so my parents were surprised to hear from me. They said Tom didn't seem like the type of person who would cheat on his wife. I married him because I also thought he was the kind of person who wouldn't do such a thing. Tom contacted me as expected.
Rachel, did you really go back to your parents' house? I'll come by next weekend, so let's talk.
I haven't responded to any of his calls. I have nothing to say to him. So I guess the last time you see Tom will be at your parents' house. Haha. I hope it ends well. I'll be sure to tweet the results, so I hope it all works out. I hope you're rooting for me. Next time I tweet, it would be great if I'm divorced. Tom seems to be trying hard to show remorse, but Rachel's divorce seems to be a firm decision. I guess Tom's fate was sealed when you cheated on her. Rachel's followers support her from the bottom of their hearts. Will she and Tom be able to reach an agreement? A short time later, Rachel tweeted, I'm done talking with Tom, so I'll tell you what happened. We've been waiting. I wonder how Tom's face looked. He looked like he was ready for me to take him back.
I'm going home with you. I'm going home with you,
is what it seemed like he wanted to say. Well, I shattered those ideals early on. My parents were out of the house, so I once again sat down face to face with Tom.
Rachel, I'm so sorry.
I held out the divorce papers at the same time. Tom bowed his head and said this. I'm so glad you're here. Can you fill these out for me? I offered him a pen. And sure enough, Tom froze.
Well, no, I came here today to discuss.
I thought I told you I had nothing to say. That's why I don't return your calls. I just got the divorce papers yesterday, so I'm glad you came over today. I saved myself the trouble of mailing them to you. When I rushed Tom looked very sad and said,
I'm sorry I didn't call you back. Rachel, do you really want a divorce? We've been together for 7 years. I only want to be with you from now on. That's why we got married, and I don't want it to end.
Tom told me that, so I gave him another good argument. You can tell me that you want to stay with me all you want, but I'm the one who decides if you get to stay. Got it? I'm not going to let a cheater do what he wants. By the way, I'm never going to say yes, okay? I'm not going to change my mind about the divorce, so sign the papers, and if you don't, will you leave? Tom seemed to panic, because I was trying to be so calm.
Rachel, what's up with you? You've never been this cold to me before. You've always listened to me, so why don't you listen to me right now?
He asked me something stupid like that. I've only ever listened to you because I liked you. I just wanted to talk to you. But how could I possibly want to listen to you when you cheated on me and betrayed me? I have every right to be angry at you for what you did. And if you expected me to be nice to you when I found out about the affair, how stupid could you be?
I don't think you're stupid. I just want you to know how sorry I am.
I told you before I left home that nothing you could say would change my mind. I told you that you could think about what you've done. Were you not listening to what I was saying?
No, I was listening, but I don't want a divorce.
If you don't want a divorce that badly, then why did you cheat on me in the first place? Did you think I would forgive you? I don't want to be betrayed and cry myself to sleep. I'd rather leave than be with someone I can't trust. If you're really sorry, shouldn't you respect my wishes?
That's true, but
I have nothing more to say to you. I keep saying the same things and it's a waste of time. Either you sign the papers now and we can talk about the property division and alimony, or do you want to just leave without showing any remorse? I said and pushed Tom into a corner and he finally agreed.
Okay, if you insist that much, I'll agree to the divorce.
Tom nodded and looked like he had given up on everything. I was relieved, but it all worked out. And I got the divorce papers signed without incident. And after that, we talked about property division and alimony. After all, the discussions were over.
I'll divorce you and pay you alimony, but I don't want this to end. Please don't tell me you never want to see me again. Please give me one more chance. I'll make you love me again.
Tom said this to me. Will you stop being so selfish? I'm not the kind of woman who would ever choose a lousy man like you again. Thanks for filling the papers out. Now leave. And like this, I kicked him out of the house. I felt so free. I felt like I got solid revenge for being cheated on. The other woman will be getting a call from me about the alimony. Nice revenge, Rachel. Tom totally lost. I hope the cheating partner gets her ass kicked too. I wonder how she'll react when she finds out that the person she talked to at the bakery was her boyfriend's wife. Well, I'll leave that one to the lawyers. For now, I'll just rejoice that I'm free of my worries. I'm glad it all worked out surprisingly quickly. I'm glad you're happier now that you're divorced. I'll never forget Valentine's Day this year. For me too. But I think it was pretty bittersweet for Tom. I hope he remembers every year from now on and regrets it for the rest of his life. I already have no regrets, and I don't think I will regret my divorce. I'm just relieved that it was settled so quickly. The longer it went on, the deeper my wounds would have been. I hope you can make better memories one day. I want to see the future when you're smiling on Valentine's Day. I hope to see that too. Thank you for listening until the end. Thus ends Rachel's revenge. Tom had no choice in the matter. And now that they're divorced, he is drowning in a wave of regret. Followers were touched by Rachel's strength and sincerely wished her well in the future. What would you do if you were in Rachel's shoes? Thank you for watching to the end. We appreciate your support. So please give us a high rating and subscribe to our channel. I'm also looking forward to your comments, so please leave them. See you in the next video.
Alright, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children. With zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job. Having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong. Mike! What have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. I didn't do anything wrong. You're still saying that? Look at him. Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract? Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go. Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him. There's no way he was pushed aside. Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he? I don't remember that part. I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.